to dive and have an exposure of cloud computing with Microsoft Azure. So what is cloud computing and why is there so much of hype around this everywhere that all of the people around are talking about the different types of technologies in cloud, and every companies and startups are hiring people who have the appropriate skills in such technologies to carry on forward their overall business, their websites, and whatever services and products they have to provide. So I am Adrian D'Souza from Rajiv Gandhi Institute of Technology, Mumbai, and I am also the Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador. So currently, I am the Alpha Student Ambassador at Microsoft Learn. So today I would like to start with the topic of introduction to cloud computing with Microsoft Azure. So now the first and the most basic question that all of us have in our mind, that is, what is cloud computing? So as I already started with the notion that we have heard everyone talking about the cloud computing, but we do not know exactly what it is, where it is located, which part of the world, and how to use it. So cloud computing is basically the delivery of computing services over the internet, which is otherwise known as the cloud, as I just said. So these services can include servers, storages, databases, networking, software, analytics. You can use artificial intelligence, blockchain, data science, and many other tools to analyze data, host your website, deploy your solutions, and much more. So the list is endless. What you can do with cloud computing. So cloud computing offers faster innovation with flexible resources and economies or scale. So to put in simpler terms, that cloud computing is a way to basically rent a power and storage from someone else's data center. So you can treat the cloud resources like you would treat resources at your own data center. When you're done using them, you give them back. So traditionally, what a company or what we used to do as individuals, so we used to set up a data center, the servers, the server rack, everything at our own premises. But now with cloud computing, that is no longer the case. We can use any third party services for their storage, their computing, and whatever other extra services you have to offer, we can anytime make use of it by just paying for it on the go. And as I mentioned over here, the main features of cloud computing, that is scalability, that is we can add resources, that is we can add the data storage, hard drives, then computing power as and when we want, and we can also remove it when we are done with it, or we do not need it anytime more further. So the next is pay as you go. So pay as you go is basically a service that is you pay for what you use, nothing more, nothing less. Redundancy is basically that whatever you're creating, there is a backup available for it at different locations. Availability is that you do not need to keep your system on throughout the day or throughout the entire day. It is always available at your cloud provider. And remote services, that is the your data, your physical storage is somewhere else, and you are accessing it at another place. So now I've given you all a brief understanding of what is cloud computing. I would go through each point and explain it even further as we go. So if anyone has, any kind of problem or say you'll have some doubt, y'all can always drop in the chat. As and when I get the time, I will definitely come in the chat and will have a look and will then answer your doubts. So whatever queries you'll have, you can anytime drop it in the chat box. I am there to answer. Okay, so now going to the next. So now types of cloud computing. So now when we speak of cloud computing, there are always different types of cloud computing that we have. So we have the public, the private, and the hybrid. So now in the public cloud, so in the public clouds are owned and operated by third-party cloud service providers. So that deliver their computing resources like servers, storage over the internet. The best example is Microsoft Azure is an example of cloud computing. I will give you all a demonstration of this in some time as we progress in this workshop. So with the public cloud, all the hardware, software, and other supporting infrastructures is owned and managed by the cloud provider. So over here, we are just going to build our infrastructure, our software, or our platform using this third-party software. That's why it is known as public, because it is publicly available to each and everyone, and any user, be it an organization or an individual, can use it. The next is private cloud. So private cloud computing resources is exclusively available to the given organization or the business. So for example, if there is a startup or a company, they will want their cloud network or their data center to be private or to be limited to that company itself. So for that reason, they create their own data center or their own service within that given building or organization and handle it. Now, the big companies like Azure, AWS, GCP, IBM, they also help these companies in setting up their private infrastructure, and thus they also help in creating the private cloud network for the given organization or businesses that want to limit their entire data, their entire infrastructure to a single building. Okay, and the third one is the hybrid cloud. So now when I talk about the hybrid cloud, so hybrid cloud basically combines the two worlds. So as I've just said that the public cloud is there and the private. So the hybrid cloud combines both the public and the private. That is uh, giving the best of both the worlds. So then by allowing the data and the applications to move between the private and public cloud, the hybrid gives better business flexibility with more deployments and optimizes your existing infrastructure, security, and compliance. So with the hybrid, you get the benefit of security and management and isolation of a private cloud service, and the public cloud of being available to all the people everywhere, and the ability to scale and develop with ease. So these are the three major types of cloud computing types that we have. So what I would be demonstrating it to you, and what we as students or individual people would be working on would be the public cloud. So the public cloud is easily available. You can just make your account on Azure, Microsoft Azure. Once you create your account, for the first month, you will get around 500 credits, if I'm not wrong, for free, which you can definitely use, and start your own projects. Okay, so once you do that, you can once you start your projects, you can deploy your websites, your cloud solutions, your applications, everything on the cloud, and it's so easy to work with compared to just the traditional methods of hosting on a website and then deploying it from there. It becomes quite inconvenient. So the Azure or all the cloud computing services for that matters is there to ease this entire solution of deployment. There are also various other benefits to it. I will be coming to them in the upcoming slides. Okay, so just a minute. Yes. So now talking about the types of cloud computing services. So now there are 3 to 4 types of services: infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service, storage as a service. But I would like to talk today about the 3 types, that is infrastructure as a service, platform, and software as a service. So now the first service that we can talk, or the bottommost service above which all the other services mount up and come. So the first one is infrastructure as a service. So you can rent an IT infrastructure, set up all the hardware resources, servers, the virtual machines, VM, storage, networks, operating systems from a cloud provider on a pay-as-you-go basis. So this gives you the full freedom to set up your infrastructure just the way you want. So now infrastructure is a service that forms the base of the entire 3 layers. Over here, you have to set up your bare metal, that is your bare hardware. So what I mean by bare metal or your bare hardware is your physical devices like your hard drive. So you do not have to physically go to the data center and install your hard drive. No, you do not have to go there. But with the online tools available, once you set up your hardware, that will automatically be provisioned at the data center wherever it is across the world. So for example, Azure has got around 2 to 3 centers in India itself. So it will be allocated in one of the servers, one of those locations, sorry. And then the hardware, the compute engine, the compute power, The networking resources, the network cards, whatever you require will already be set up. It will just be allocated to you for your development, for your needs, and for your usage. So that's why the infrastructure as a service gives you the full flexibility to create an entire system right from scratch. You can select your hardware, you can select your operating system, your OS. You can also select your network cards, your subnets, your IP protocols, your tag sets, your management protocols, your subrouting. Everything can be done in infrastructure as a service. So now you all might find a lot of jargons I'm using like subnets, networking, and they might be very complex, but do not worry. These things I will try to explain it to you when I show the practical demonstration of it at the end once I complete my PPT. I will try to give you a basic understanding of what this everything is about networking, the basic networking, the management protocols, and how you can go about. So this is based on a pay-as-you-go basis. So if I select 50 GB, I will have to pay for 50 GB. If I select 100 GB, I will have to spend more. That is, I'll have to spend, say, double that. So if I'm spending 10 rupees for 50 GB, I have to spend 20 rupees for 100 GB. So there is some pricing that we have to follow that the various services out there available have to provide. Okay, so anyone has any doubt till now, whatever I've thought? You all can drop it in the chat box if you all have any doubt or clarification, or if you all find that I'm going fast, you all can slow me down. It's okay, no problem. I will continue. Okay, okay, there is no lag, correct? It is everything going perfectly. Okay, yes. Okay, thank you, Apurva. So now, moving forward. Yes. So that was infrastructure as a service. That is the third layer out of the remaining three layers that we have to offer. So now the second layer that comes above it is the platform as a service. So now platform as a service refers to the cloud computing services that supplies all of us with an on-demand environment for developing, deploying, testing, delivering, and managing software application. So PaaS or platform as a service is designed to make it easier for developers to quickly create web or mobile apps without even worrying about setting up or managing the underlying infrastructures of storage, servers, network, database, etc. So if you don't want to set your hardware right from the basics, like you do not want to set your how much of space you want, the operating system, then your what you call it, the networking, because you might find it too complex, you can directly shift to platform as a service. So what will happen in platform as a service is that your base is already provided, that is the bare metal. You have to just deploy your software. So we have seen examples of web servers like Tomcat, database like SQL, Oracle. A best example of such can be that of Salesforce. So in Salesforce, you do not have to set up your basic, that is your hardware, your networking, NIC cards, your operating system. No, you just directly have to use your services and you have to put whatever you are developing. So for example, you have a website, you can integrate it with Salesforce, and then everything will be laid out automatically by them. So you are making use of the platform that's Salesforce. So Salesforce basically provides you a platform for your website. Okay, and then you can make use of its various management tools that Salesforce has. Management, then analytics tool is very important in Salesforce. So not only Salesforce, you can go to any other example, um, GitHub, and all of these providers. You can deploy it over there. Heroku is another best example. You can deploy your website. Once you deploy it, you can then use the resources that it provides you. Okay, so similarly, we can do with Microsoft Azure, wherein whatever you deploy, okay, you get certain services wherein your base, your infrastructure is already set up. Okay, you do not have to reset it up. You can directly provision your own website, your own application or servers on it. So if y'all are, So most of us here, I think, are students in our third year, final year, or maybe we have completed our graduation. So now, if you all have noticed in today's world, deploying your project is very much important, and everyone is asking for cloud services, technologies, and tools. So there is a lot of internships available in this domain. So I would suggest that you all can always, create an account, maybe on Azure or any other services that you would prefer of your liking, and you can deploy your websites, whatever applications you have developed, or if you want to create a container or any type of containerization, you can deploy it on any kind of cloud platform, and you all can get a good experience because cloud developers are really paid very well in today's world. And the topmost service that I would like to talk is about software as a service. So this is the topmost of the three layers. So software as a service is basically a method for delivering software applications over the internet on an on-demand and typically a subscription base. So with SaaS, cloud providers host and manage the software application and the underlying infrastructure and handle any maintenance like software upgrades, security, etc. So what are the examples of software as a service? So Gmail, Yahoo, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, then Microsoft Word. So these are all software as a services that we use in our day-to-day life. Okay, so what we do with software as a service. So, for example, all of us use Instagram. So I would like to ask you all. So for Instagram, okay, do we set up our own hardware? So can anyone reply that if anyone, you all set up your own hardware? Hardware meaning storage. So just like, do you give storage allocation? No, like 50 GB Instagram you take, you download in this location, or is it automatically done for you? Okay, so anyone can answer. It is not a problem if you all want to. I will also unmute every participant. I mean, so you all can speak out. Okay, so you all can unmute also now. I have unmuted your people's mic. So you all can speak if you all have any doubt. So my question was that Instagram, do you all set up the hardware? It is correct. Correct, Ritesh. So it is automatically done. You just download the app, you say accept, accept, accept. Yes. So it takes in that size in MB, but we do not allocate that storage. We do not set the permissions. We just say agree, agree, and agree. Those three things we do. That's it. So that is an example of software as a service. That is, everything is already set up. You have to just use that application. So, for example, if you have another example of software as a service is a translation engine, speech translation, that is English to Hindi or Hindi to French. So, this is a translation kind of a software. So, if you're using, say, Google Translation, we do not set up anything like we do not set up the platform, we do not look at the analytics, we do not do anything, we directly use it. So that is also another and very good example of platform as a service. So these three are the major, services that are there in cloud, and it's, trust me, these understanding what falls in which category is very important. So if you'll get this basic correct, you know, you all can get into this world of cloud computing very easily, and it will not be very complex to understand the further things. So did everyone understand the three segregation: infrastructure, platform, and software? So infrastructure, you can consider setting up your own hardware. Then platform as a service, in that you will provision your resources. If you have a website, you will deploy your website, you will create its analytics. And in software, you will just use the functionalities and the features for as it is. So can anyone acknowledge if they got it? You all can even unmute and talk, it's no problem. Or on the chat box itself, you all can see that you all understood. So I can move ahead. Okay, so Siddesh, you understood? Okay, okay. Thank you, Apurva. So now moving on to the next part, that is okay. So this is basically giving an idea of how everything is. That is the infrastructure as a service, which includes your data center, your networking, firewall, servers, and storage. As I said, your platform as a service will include furthermore the operating system that you deploy, the development tools, database management, analytics, and whatever analytical tools you need to provide that will come in platform as a service. And in the last one, that is your hosted applications, that will be directly the features that you have, you all can directly use it over there. So you can see that over here there is a sort of a table that shows the different services, software, platform, infrastructure, and the on-premises, and what you have to manage. So as I said, that in infrastructure as a service, you have to manage your data, your application runtime, your virtual machine, everything. In platform, you have to manage only your data and application, and in software you have to handle only your data and access. So the best example of software was Instagram, wherein you have to just tick the boxes and automatically the storage would be allocated, your networking profile would have been created, your storage profile, and everything would have been taken care. So now what makes cloud computing cheaper, and why is everyone wanting to shift their business onto the cloud? Even startups are migrating their services that they have to offer, all their businesses on the cloud. So the major reason why people are moving from a traditional fixed based approach to a cloud computing is because the delivery of computing services over the internet by using a pay as you go pricing model. So you typically pay only for the cloud services you use, so which helps us to lower the operating cost. So by lower the operating cost, that is for whatever resources you are using, the hardware, you will pay for that. Then it runs your infrastructure more efficiently and scales as your business needs changes. So I'll tell you what used to happen before the cloud computing in the traditional approaches was that if my requirement was 20 GB and there were only slabs of 10 and 50. Okay, so I would not have to only take 20 GB. I would have to either choose between 10 and 50. So 10 GB would not be feasible. It would be too less. As a result, in the earlier model, I would have to go with the 50 GB. So now when I would go onto the 50 GB, 30 GB would go to waste as I'm not using it for my business development or anything. So as a result, 30 GB would be going in a total loss. So what I will have to do is I would have to try and manage my resources in 10 GB or waste money. But now in the cloud computing approach, you can scale your business as per your needs. So if you require 20 GB, you take 20 GB. If you require 30 or 40, you can take accordingly. That is why it is known as it is very much scalable. So because of that, the price becomes quite convenient and it becomes cheap. So now, what are the benefits of cloud computing? Why are we, looking into an approach of cloud computing, or why are we looking for an career to be made out of cloud computing? So firstly, and the foremost important is the cost. So cloud computing eliminates the capital expense of buying hardware and software and setting up and running on-site data centers. So now I'll explain to you in the next slide the difference between capital expenditure and operational expenditure and how cloud computing proves to be better. So, and setting up and running on-site data centers, the rack of servers, so the round-the-clock electricity for power and cooling, and the IT experts for need managing the infrastructure, it adds up. So what this means that since you're not setting up your data center at your own office, at your own organization, you do not have to pay for electricity, you do not have to pay for cooling. The services who are being provided, who are providing this, they will pay for it. So they will have huge warehouses that will be located somewhere, and in those huge warehouse, somewhere your infrastructure will be provisioned. So that's why you save up on the power and cooling. Basically, you get a concession, and you do not need to hire any kind of experts or IT people in this field. So since you do not have to hire any IT persons or anyone to look at it, it really reduces the overall expenditure and cost. So the data center, like Azure, they have their own data center that is really big, and they look after the electricity, the cooling, the power, and they have a team of people, skilled people who will look at everything that has to be done. And that is the reason why there is such a on demand for these, for people with these skill set. The next one is speed. So now most cloud computing services are provided self-service and an on-demand. So even vast amounts of computing resources can be provisioned in minutes. So typically with just a few mouse clicks, giving businesses lot of flexibility and taking pressure of capacity planning. Okay, so now I will demonstrate it at the end how to create a virtual machine on Windows, and you can see for yourself that within 5 minutes your entire Windows system has been created, provisioned, and deployed, and you can use it for anything you want for any purpose. The next one is global scalability. So the benefits of cloud computing service includes the ability to scale elastically. So in cloud speed, that means delivering the right amount of IT resources. So for example, more or less computing power, storage bandwidth right when it is needed and from the right geographic location. So global scalability is that you can have your server in India. Okay, so you can redundant it, you can scale it, say somewhere else in USA. If you're getting a traffic from USA, you can globally scale it. That is, you can create your storage or your server in US so that the access time that is there, the latency decreases and it can be accessed very much fast and efficiently. Okay, so yes, so it can be accessed very much fast and efficiently. Now going on to the other benefits, it's productivity. So on-site data center require a lot of racking and stacking. That is, you need storage space, physical storage to keep it. You need coolers, you need technicians, you need electricity running 24 hours, which is a tremendous headache. So with productive off-site, you do not have to handle all of this, and the IT management team can rest over this matter. So you do not have to look at the physical worrying of your resources. This providers, the third-party providers, will take care of this. So performance. So the biggest cloud computing services that run on worldwide network of secure data centers. Okay, so they are regularly updated to the latest generation and have fast and efficient computing. So the compute engine resources are always the latest and the fastest. The SSDs, that is your storage devices, are fast. They use RAID 0 or RAID 1 technology. That meaning the boot up time is fast, the access time is fast, and latency is bare minimum. So reliability. So what I say by reliability, the next benefit. So cloud computing makes data backups. So backups meaning a copy is made of your given server or your storage information, and it is redundant everywhere. So disaster recovery and business continuity easier and less expensive because data can be mirrored at multiple data sites. So for example, if there is a fire at one of the data centers, you do not have to worry that about your resource, your storage, or any kind of information. Nothing will be lost. Everything will be there as it is, but maybe on another location, because a copy of your given data, your storage was made as a redundant copy elsewhere. So that's why it is highly reliable, and it basically provides a very good backup. So in case of a natural disaster, earthquake, fire, or tsunami, your data will always be there and protected. And the lastly is security. So when I talk about security, so many cloud providers offer a broad set of policies, so technologies and controls and strength your overall security posture. So we know that the number of cyber attacks taking place in today's world is increasing tremendously. So we need to counter it. So we have to deploy our own solutions. If we have our own data center, we have to set up our own security firewalls, the networking and everything. But if you go to a third party provider like anyone, GCP, AWS, Azure, they will provide it for you. They will give you their own security, firewall, and they'll set everything up and give it to you. You have to just focus on what is important rather than how to do it. Okay, so those were the few benefits that I spoke earlier that the cloud service providers have and what cloud computing has to provide. Now, the most important part about why people choose cloud computing is the expenditure. So now we have the capital versus the operational expenses. So capital expenses is basically the upfront spending of money on the physical infrastructure and then deducting that upfront expense over time. So the upfront cost from capital expenditure has a value that reduces over time. So capital expenditure is like the one-time amount that you pay for your resources. For example, if I want a laptop or a computer, I will pay 50,000 or 1 lakh to get this computer. Okay, but once I get this computer, after 1 month, 2 months, or say 1 year, the price of it reduces drastically and it's no longer, feasible to work with it. So this is known as your capital expenditure. So if I'm setting up my own infrastructure, in that case, when I'm setting up my own infrastructure, I will have to purchase my own hardware, my own networking cards, and everything. So if tomorrow or after 1, 2 years, I say that I do not want to continue with my infrastructure or I want to delete it, so my entire capital expenditure goes to waste as I have purchased it, but no one will buy. As we all know over here, that once we buy a phone, the value of that phone gets depreciated. That is, there is no value for that phone in the long run. Like if I buy an iPhone, for example, in 2018 for 60,000, in today 2022, after 4 years, that same iPhone of 60,000 will be worth 30,000, and Android phone will fall still lower to 20,000 and all. So the same is the case with computers, hardwares, and their other chipset, because technology is growing every day. So the hardware and the other resources, they remain where they are and their value decreases. So that's why in cloud computing, there is no capital expenditure. You do not pay for a single hardware and all. You only pay for the operations. That is, you only pay for what you use and nothing more than that. So operational expenditures basically is spending money on services or products now and being billed for them now. So if you're creating a virtual machine or see an database, an SQL database, so you will pay for that only. That can be 5,000 rupees for a month or 10 rupees for an hour, something like that. So you will only pay for that. So that is operational expenditure. So cloud computing is a consumption-based model. So cloud service providers operate on a consumption-based model, which means that users only have to pay for what they use. So anytime you'll meet anyone like an interviewer or any for you're going for an internship or any type of questioning, they will always ask you that why is cloud computing so important. So the two important reasons are scalability and budget, pay as you go. That is, you pay for only what resources you use and nothing more, nothing less. So everything is upfront, no advance, no premature cost has to be given. Everything will be given advance. So the ability to pay for additional resources when they are needed and to stop when you are done with it. So that is the biggest advantage. So now real life examples of companies using cloud computing services. So all of us being engineers, computer engineers or IT engineers, we all aim to get a good job. So there is a vast hiring taking place in the cloud computing sector. It is considered to be nearly the in the top 10 most prominent profiles available out there, or the job profile, and you get paid really well. The reason is why every company, be it, as you can see, a LinkedIn has secured 53.5% of the global on-demand streaming market. So we know that everyone watches Netflix. Am I right? I think everyone over here has watched Netflix or even Amazon or any Amazon Prime or Video or any kind of online streaming services. So do you all know that these streaming services are based totally on the cloud computing technology? So Netflix uses a cloud service provider, AWS. Okay, so it uses AWS as a cloud service provider for hosting their entire infrastructure their entire set of movies or series, whatever they have to have, the entire thing is set up over there. So that's why you can see they need people to handle this infrastructure, these resources. So that's why cloud computing is a booming field of technology. The next one is eBay, that is an online e-commerce website. So both Microsoft and eBay started working with Accenture in order to explore how Azure platform might actually enable eBay to deploy. So eBay, as we can see, it is used mostly everywhere. People, even in India, buy products from abroad, from US or from other countries. This entire e-commerce giant is totally based on the cloud computing technology, and it uses Azure for that. Then we have LinkedIn. Everyone has a profile. So talking about LinkedIn, I would suggest all the 27 participants present here to kindly create a LinkedIn profile if you haven't. So LinkedIn is really important from a student's point of view, or for even working professionals. Trust me, you get to know a lot that is going on outside your college, outside your workplace, outside your organization. LinkedIn connects people, it provides you with good job opportunities. Then you get to learn a lot through LinkedIn. So I would suggest everyone, to create a LinkedIn profile and be active. A lot of cloud hiring does take place via LinkedIn. So please look into that. And as we can see, Azure is the service provider for LinkedIn. Then we have got Boeing, that is the plane company that makes airplanes. So all the flying data centers, its information, everything is stored in the cloud, so which makes it easily accessible all around the globe, and the data is readily available and can be used and can be analyzed. So before I go to the next point of Microsoft Azure, anyone has any doubt, don't get afraid. I am definitely here. You all can unmute yourself and ask me, or you all can type it in the chat box. We could have a 1 minute doubt session if anyone has any doubt up till now. Like, if you all have not understood a concept, I will definitely repeat myself. Or if you all want to learn anything else, I can also enable you in that. So I do hope that you all can unmute your mics, or at least in the chat box reply that if you all have understood. So Aryan, if any doubt, Jimit, you all can unmute and ask Karthik. Siddesh, anything you all want to ask, you all can ask now before I move on. So you all can even unmute, it's okay. Okay, okay, got it. So if you all have any doubt, you all can also WhatsApp me later, but now would be preferably better. Okay, okay, yes, Siddesh. So this is a very, good question, like for the beginners who are there. So what is demanding, cloud computing or web development? So web development, you have to just create your websites using HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and if you're working in a company or organization, you will have to deploy it on the cloud computing framework. So there are a lot of web developers available out there in today's market, but the number of cloud computing developers with the proper skill, the certification is extremely low. Also, if you have an application, you can deploy it on the cloud. If you have any kind of services, if you want to create an environment, containers, also you need the cloud. So which is more higher paying? It will be cloud computing. So a cloud developer definitely gets paid more better depending on which profile you select. There are 4 to 5 profiles. So a cloud computing does get paid better. A web developer will also be paid better, but there is a lot of competition as everyone is having the web development skill set. Okay, so web development, once you create your website, you will deploy it on the cloud, and your cloud will be available to everyone. So cloud is an emerging technology and an emerging domain and field. So the people in it are less and the money in it is more. That's why if you all can see around on LinkedIn who are there, or on Instagram, There are a lot of programs that are kept by Microsoft, then Google and Amazon, wherein they give goodies like shirts, bottles, and everything to the students who learn their cloud computing skills and program. So the reason why they give certificates, bottles, goodies, caps, and everything, or even trophies and medals, they want people to learn cloud computing because the people that are currently there in this domain is less compared to what the market requires. So the market needs are here and the people with proper skill sets are here. So we have to bridge the gap. So Siddesh, I hope I answered your question that cloud computing is more demanding and there is more finance and money associated with it. So, so Siddesh, was I clear in explaining it? Okay. Okay, so thank you, Siddesh. I'll be continuing with now the Microsoft Azure part, and anything you all can always unmute and ask me if it is okay. I am there to answer. So now talking about Microsoft Azure. Okay, so this is one of the prominent third-party service or that provides the cloud computing services for the individuals or companies and organizations to use. So Azure is a cloud computing platform with an ever expanding set of services to help you build your solution and to meet your business goals. So the Azure services ranges from a simple web services like for hosting your business or your projects. I believe many of you all might be in your first, second, or in your final year. So you all do have your projects. So you all can deploy it on your on Azure, and you all can show the the externals, the recruiters that you all know cloud technology and you'll have utilized it in your project. So Azure provides a lot of other benefits and features like remote storage, database hosting, centralized account management, then identity management services, and more. So Azure offers even new capabilities like AI and Internet of Things. Now, how Azure helps in AI, artificial intelligence. So now all of us who are interested in AI or have worked with AI, you all know that to process the given node or module or whatever data you'll have, you'll need compute power. That is, you'll need your GPU power, TPU power to work with it. So we do have two options, that is Jupyter Notebook, Colabs, and various other features. But still, there is some kind of lagging that takes place. We need more power, we need more compute resources, or we need more flexibility, or we want to deploy it with everyone in an organization. So for that, we can make use of Microsoft Azure. So they provide very much and very good benefits for AI. So you can create an AI notebook on Azure, and in that book, you can develop your artificial intelligence model, machine learning, naive Bayes, whatever is there, any complex model, random forest that is compute hungry, that requires a lot of processing power, GPU power, and everything. You can create your own virtual machine, download your OS, you can set up your application and start developing your AI on your old computer as well, on your old computer, new computer, whatever it is, but on the cloud. And it is available everywhere, anytime, and you can easily, carry your stuff from one place to another. So that's why many people use this in the AI and data science field. They use cloud computing for hosting their notebooks and for developing it further. So the other software as a service that Azure provides besides AI is naturally communicated with your users through vision, hearing, and speech. So there are certain small applications like speech translation, speech recognition, voice recognition, speech synthesis. Then computer vision technologies are using, it can be used for identifying labels, for image face detection, and much more. There are a lot of services that we will, not we will just go through in the practical part. But Azure has got a lot of offerings to give it. So now, what are the different types of services in Azure or for any cloud providers in that matters? So we have got the compute service that provisions your compute power. We have got the networking, that is for setting up your network infrastructure, your NIC network interface cards. your subnetting, routing protocols and everything, your storage for your storing your data, mobile for your mobile applications, web, then DevOps, IoT, and big data. So big data is nothing but the huge collection of data. So examples where big data is generated from online platform like your Gmail, your Outlook, then your Microsoft Documents, your Instagram, Facebook, they produce trillions of data. So that is an example of big data. So cloud computing helps in all of these things. And even in Internet of Things, that is your IoT devices, that is your chipsets, like for a smart mirror or anything else, so you can easily connect it to your cloud service, and without a computer, directly to the cloud with the help of internet you can connect it. So as I already told you, what is your compute services, they are one of the primary reasons why companies move to Azure platform. So I will show you how to create your own virtual machine and set up your compute services soon. Then networking functionalities is basically setting up your firewall, your security protocols, your VPN, and your data centers, and whatever security related features, everything you can set up in networking. And the different type of storages are there. The four main storages is Azure Blob. Then for large objects like videos, so if I want to save a video, like say a movie, I want to save, I can save it in Azure Blob. Azure File Storage for your documents, queue storage, queuing messages between apps and more, and Azure Table Storages, that is for SQL, NoSQL, that is for your database that you want to create. So that is the four types of storages that are there. These are the main types. So there are more storages, but when I went to and I consider these four as the main. And whatever you have to do, you can provision it within these four itself. So mobile is that Azure developers can create mobile backend services for iOS, Android, and Windows quickly and easily and deploy it for real-time solution. Then databases for your projects, for your websites, or for whatever service application you have. You have got NoSQL, that is no structure. Then we've got the SQL, the structured MySQL, PostgreSQL, MariaDB, everything. So all the types of databases are available for you and you can use them. So talking about the web, Azure includes support to build websites, host them. It provides you with APIs, app services, and cognitive search. So APIs are basically used to connect your front end to the back end. So these are the services that are provided with Azure. IoT, as I already mentioned, is that you have your smart mirror or say a smart garden. Your small devices, through the help of Wi-Fi, can store its data in one of the cloud service providers in their database, wherein the data later on can be fetched, analyzed, and then reproduced for something better to be done. So big data, as I already said, that with the rise of technology such as the 4G and 5G, and with portable phones being highly affordable, nearly everyone today owns a phone. So every one of us, we do surf the web, we use social media, watch movies, play games, and study. And thus, we create a large amount of digital footprint or large amount of data, which is then collected and used for marketing analysis and prediction. So all of y'all see that you'll search something on Google, and once you'll search that same ad, you'll see when you'll go on Google the next time, you'll see those advertisement. Or if in Amazon you're searching for a product, you see that ad on Google. The reason is because your data is being collected and it is being used for further analysis and marketing purposes. So this is one of the type of marketing technology techniques that are being used in today's world. So that's why your data is very much important, and nothing is for free. So whatever free services also you use, the data is being collected and it is being used further for further analysis. And based on that, you get your recommendations, you get what services and all you can use. AI, as I already said, there are AI notebooks you can make use of. So you can create your own system and you can deploy your own technologies and make use of the various services that Azure has to offer. And you can, post your artificial intelligence notebook and everything. Now coming to the Azure subscriptions and groups. So we have resources, resource group, subscription, management group. So you can see there's a diagram over here. So the topmost is your management group. So for example, if you consider, say a college, the XYZ college, that XYZ college will have management group as the top and main. Under that, it will create multiple subscriptions. So it can create a subscription for students, it can create a subscription for teachers, and so on. So subscription is basically a price paid pack. Okay, so a subscription can be say of 10,000 rupees, 20,000 rupees, and inside that you can use the resources freely. Then comes below it is resource groups. So we have multiple resource groups. So for example, as I said, XYZ college, in that student subscription, faculty subscription, the keys as you can see over here. Okay, and then you have your resource groups in this diagram as you can see. So resource groups can be the different departments like computer, IT, mechanical, or if in a company you can have the marketing content development team. So these can be your resource groups. So resource groups can be the various teams, and finally the resources are the various end products that you all will use. Either some might use a database, some might use the what you say the services, or you can use the virtual machines or something else. So basically, Azure subscription and groups, it has got the management groups on the top, followed by the subscriptions, the resource groups, and finally the resources. So now coming to the most important part is about geographies, regions, and zones. So Azure is made up of data centers located around the globe. So when you use a service or create a resource such as SQL database or a VM, you are basically putting your data in a physical equipment in one of these locations. So region is basically a geographical area on the planet somewhere in one of the countries or one of the continents on the planet that contains at least one or multiple data centers that are networked together for a low latency network. So Azure intelligently assigns and controls the resources within each region to ensure workloads are appropriately balanced. So region is for example, a region can be in India can have a region, USA can have three regions, that is East, Midwest, or the West. So you can have three regions in USA, and within those regions you will have zones. So zones are physically separate data center within an Azure region. So that is within the west of USA, there will be multiple zones. So within the east, there will be multiple zones. Midwest, there will be multiple zones. So you have regions, and inside regions, you have zones wherein your actual compute power, your data centers lie. So each availability zone is made up of one or more data centers equipped and independent power cooling and networking. So we want to ensure our services and data are redundant so we can protect our information in case of failure. So as I said that the cloud computing provides backups or redundancy, that is a copy of your infrastructure will always be present in another location that can be used in case of failure or in the case of any natural calamity. So multiple copies are done in different zones. So as you can see over here, we have availability zones and Azure region pair. So just summarizing this is that the zones are created by using one or more data centers, minimum three zones within a single region. It's possible that a large disaster could cause a big outage enough and affect two data centers. That's why we create region pairs. So we create region pairs, that is, if my data is in availability zone 2, the redundancy of it will be done in availability zone 1 and 3, so that if there is an earthquake, fire, or any mishap at zone 2, zone 1 and zone 3 are always available for backup. So over here, as you can see, the entire map is there of the different available regions, the announced region, and the availability zones. So as you can see that USA has got multiple zones and regions. You could see it has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, around 9 to 10 regions, and still there are some opening. In India itself, we are having three regions itself. So you can say that it is spread across the globe. So we could create an instance or a deployment anywhere around the globe in any of these regions or zones and can be further utilized. So now talking about the Azure subscription. So Azure subscription is basically you try and pay for what you create. So if you need, you need to provide this, like if you want to use these services, you want to create a VM, you will have to either purchase a subscription. So for example, if I tell you, when you create an account for the first time on Microsoft Azure, it is $500 free credits you get. So for the first one, then after that, you will have to select a package. So that changes from time to time. So whenever you're interested to work on it, you can definitely go and check out the pricing options and accordingly create the subscription. Okay. So billing boundary access control invoice. So this is not for us as individuals, but when we work in an organization, they will definitely ask you how to do the billing management invoicing, because they want people who know how the money is spent, because sometimes it is pay as you go, but if you do not provision it correctly, you can spend more than what you get for. So having a knowledge about the subscriptions are very much important. So this is just an overall diagram of the billing account, the profile, the invoice section, and your Azure subscription at the end. So now coming to the end of this, that is the features of cloud. So the future of cloud. So the future is cloud, with all services and businesses moving towards the cloud. So the need for highly skilled individuals who possesses such knowledge is needed to drive the future. So roles are available. So what are the different kinds of roles that are available in the market? Say if we are interested in an internship or we want to make a career, so we have got the cloud developer profile, the cloud architect, the cloud security analyst, cloud database administrator, cloud network engineer. So there are various exams that are there and certifications that you can do in order to get yourself well acquainted and versed with it. So now the major question that we all have, how to work towards it. That is how to work towards becoming a cloud developer. So the first and the foremost thing is learn the basics and have a practical experience. Then become proficient. That is once you know the basics, move ahead, move forward, and try to get a more deeper understanding and knowledge of it. Get certified. So when I say get certified, that is you have to give cloud computing exam certificates. So there are a lot of certification courses and exams. So a recruiter, once they see that you have these certificates, they will take you eyes closed. So a certificate exam or certification exams will ensure that you have the skills, you know what you're doing, and it gives the interviewer confidence. So once you know the basics and you have developed your skills, you become proficient, please do give these exams. They are really important. Microsoft itself has got these exams if you're wanting to do it in Azure. So you can check their websites for their certification once you have you know the basics, and you can give these exams. These certification exams are really very much important for your development. And lastly is that you get a good industry exposure. So before I could end my slide, I would like to show you how to create a virtual machine. So if anyone is still there and listening to me, okay, by the time I'm opening my Microsoft Azure account, you all can communicate with me and unmute yourself and ask me questions also. It's okay, I am open. So by the time I'm sharing my entire screen. Okay, so is my screen visible? I'm being showing a demonstration now, a practical. So if anyone is still, there, you all can just mention in the chat, or I would like if anyone can unmute and also tell. Okay, yes. Okay, so is the mic working? Like if y'all can also speak because okay, it's yes, it's there. Okay. So y'all can speak as well. No need to remain quiet if y'all have any doubt. So now I am showing how to create a virtual machine. So this is my account. Okay, so just one more confirmation. Is my Microsoft Azure portal visible? Because then I, yes, Josh, is it visible?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay, thank you, Judge. Okay, so now you all can see like how I'll create a virtual machine. So what basically I'll be doing, I will create a Microsoft, not Microsoft, a Windows computer or a Windows system on the cloud. So we all of us have got a system. Say I have got an i3, an i5, sorry, 10 Gen. Okay, and I want to deploy my website on a computer somewhere else. Okay, not on this. So now I will show you how to create a computer or a Windows server that is not on your system on the cloud. So, firstly, so this is my Microsoft account that is given to me by the Student Ambassador program. So, it has given me credits that I can use for free. But y'all might have to put your credit card information. No need to pay any amount, it's free. Y'all will get $500 in credit that y'all can use for free. So, please do use that. Remember that it is available for a month, and if after a month it goes away, so register properly and use it accordingly. So this is my profile, Student Ambassador. This is a entire cloud computing portal. So here I can create a resource, virtual machine subscription, storage accounts, Kubernetes, and all, as I all told you. So now I want to create a virtual machine or a computer. So what will I do is I will open virtual machines. I will click on create Azure virtual machine. Okay, so there is a slight load. Okay, so now this is very important subscription. So I have the Visual Studio Enterprise subscription. Okay, so you all will either have to purchase it, or for the first month you all will be getting it for free and you all can use that as well. So now resource group. As I already showed you, if you all remember in the slide, there is something known as wait. Yeah. So you have your management groups, that is Adrian Student Ambassador dot com. Then in my subscription, I have Adrian RGIT. So this is my subscription, or I can create a new subscription. So I'll show you how to create a new subscription. So create a new subscription, ADRIAN RGIT 2. So this is my new resource group I've created. So I have my subscription Visual Studio Enterprise in that, my resource group. So I've created the new resource group, Adrian RGIT 2. Okay. Now the second thing that you have to do to create it is to give your virtual machine a name. So now how to give your name to a virtual machine? So you can give any name to it. So what I would prefer to give will be say AD, and I'll give 2. Okay, so this is AD2 is the name of my virtual machine under the resource group, ADRIN RGIT2. Region, I'm keeping it by default, US, East US. Okay, no infrastructure redundancy required. I'll leave it as it is. Okay, now I want to create a Windows server. So I'll select the Windows Server 2019 Data Center Gen 2. Okay. Okay, in this step, if you'll have a doubt, you can unmute and tell, or a message over here. Drop a message. I will understand. One. Okay, is the screen visible? By mistake, I had
No.
Okay, so I'll reshare it. There was by mistake I cancelled it. Still it's not visible.
No.
Okay, so there is. Okay, I think there is some network issue. Yeah, it's come. Okay, now the screen is visible again.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much for replying. Okay, so back again, I selected the Windows Server 2019 Data Center Gen 2. So this is my OS operating system image. I can select anything else. There is Ubuntu, there is Red Hat Enterprise Oracle Debian, but my preference is Windows Server 2019 Data Center. So now I can select my my storage or the memory. So there is 3.5 gigabits of memory. Then there is one CPU. So I will go with this first option, the standard DS1 V2 option. Okay, it is 3,839.29 this thing for a month. This is in rupees. So now, if I run this instance for a month, 3,000 rupees will be charged. So that's why I will like to give a disclaimer that be very careful while setting up your profile when it is on a paid basis, because money will go. For me, currently, I have this subscription from Microsoft, so it will be getting deducted from that subscription over a year of mine. So now, moving forward, after selecting the size, I have to create the administrator account. So to connect it, so I can give any name. So I'm giving this name root admin. Okay, and password. I'm giving a password according to my choice. Yes. So as you can see, what I did now, I created a resource group. I gave the virtual machine a name. I set up the region as I already told you, US East. Then security type, I'm leaving it as standard. The image, I'm keeping it as Windows Server. I gave it the username root admin, and the password I've given it accordingly to what I feel. So now for Windows Server and setting up a Windows system, okay, you need to set this public inbound ports. So allow selected ports. So I've selected select RDP 3389. So RDP is the remote desktop connection protocol. So the remote desktop connection protocol is used to connect your Windows server to your given system. So once you select that, you can go ahead. Okay, now go to the next option, disk. So as I told you the earlier part, that was your infrastructure. So now I can OS disk type. I can go with. I don't need premium SSD since I'm just showing it for demonstration purpose. A standard hard drive will also do. So as you know, SSDs are more expensive compared to a normal drive. So that's why I'm going with an HDD. Encryption is default. If you want to create an encryption that is an RSA type of a key managed pair, you can select encryption address with a customer managed key. But I am not going to do encryption now. So encryption. So encryption is basically providing you a secure connection from your computer to your infrastructure. As we all know that there are hackers and people who are there to look at your data, so you have to encrypt it. So encrypting is basically the process of trying to convert your given plain text data into a ciphertext. So if example ADRIAN, Adrian is there. So there are different ciphering techniques where I can convert it into some other name format, and that will be encrypted. Okay, so that is all about encryption, but now I'm not doing any encryption currently. It is a default one I'm leaving. I'm clicking on next, networking. Networking, it's already set to virtual network subnet and public IP. So now, as I said, I will tell you about subnetting and all. So subnet, sorry, it's not used for an individual. So if you're working in an organization or in a startup or in any kind of company, you will have to, work on the subnetting parts. That is 0 to 24 for A, 24 to 30 for B. That is subnetting. That is your internet connection that you have. You're basically dividing it further in an organization. So for example, if there is a company XYZ, it has got an IP address of 192.0.9.128.37. So between 37 to the next 128, everything will be allocated to that company, and they can accordingly change it or distribute it among the various. So that IP address that you give will be distributed internally within the different computers. So as I said, NIC Network Security Group, depending on what I select, the hardware will be allocated in US on that particular data center. So whatever I'm doing now, setting and creating, once I say review and create, it will get allocated in US in the data center where I've selected. So these are delete public IP, NIC and all. We do not need all this. So I'm going to next, management. So here management, as I told you, this is now all the platform as a services. So what we saw up till now was the infrastructure as a service, the third layer, the bottom layer. Now we come to the above layer, that is the platform as a service. So we have got enable with managed storage accounts, booting, enable OS diagnostics, Azure. So auto shutdown. So this is a very important feature. So as you know, we are going on a pay-as-you-go based service. So if you utilize more resources, you pay more. So we do not want that. So for example, if someone has got a website, or say we have a food business that runs between 12 in the morning to 12 in the night. So when it becomes 12 p.m., I want my website to automatically be shut down, because no one is going to use it after 12. And why to spend that money? So therefore, you have this service as shutdown time. So I can accordingly mention my shutdown time, and my entire instance will shut down, and you can restart it in the morning the next day. Okay, so that is a very important feature. Now these are all extra features that we do not require. So I will go on to next, tags. You can create tag sets, that is the name, value, and resource. This is if you're working in a group, that is a group project of 10, 4 to 10 or 5 people or even more. You can assign a name or a value and a tag and a resource allocated to it. So basically you can create like Adrian, I'm the admin, and the resource, or someone else, something tags you can assign and do it. So finally, now I'm going to review and create. That is, I'm creating my entire virtual machine. So now it's basically going to give me my you can see over here that validation is passed. So let me check any messages. Okay, no message. Okay. So validation passed. So that is I am good to go. And subscription credit supply 5.25 rupees to 593 paise for 1 hour. So as you can see, basically 6 rupees is going per hour to create this. So if you all are putting your card, 6 rupees will be deducted per hour. If you all are having a subscription based offer, then you will don't have to worry. It will go from your subscription. So now you can check your basics. So in subscription is my that is provided to me by the ambassadors program. My resource group is a new which I've created, Adrian RJIT2. The VM name is AD2. Region East US. Availability zones nothing. Windows servers standard root admin was my name. It's very important to remember your username and password so that you can connect it to the remote desktop procedure. So everything looks good, and then say create. So now it will get created in 1 minute. Okay, as you can see, initializing deployment. It's being deployed on the server in US, and I'm creating my virtual machine. So once this is done, I will connect it using the RDP software on my desktop. So you can download RDP from online. It's, I think, a connection tool. It should be available. So once this is done, I will connect it. So I'll give it 1-2 minutes. So as you can see, okay, done. So my deployment is still in progress. Okay, so while this is getting deployed, okay, so it will take another 1-2 minutes for it to get totally deployed on the solution. Okay, so till it's getting deployed, I would like to share in my details. So there is a feedback form also there. So I would like you all to, come fill that. Okay, it's deployed, well and good. Okay, I'll just drop this here. So my LinkedIn ID I've dropped in my Gmail and the feedback form. So I request all of you all to kindly fill the feedback form. So, I get to know what are my flaws and, accordingly I will work on it and, prepare better the next time I take it. So going back, my deployment has been completed. Okay, so now let me go to my resource. Now I will show you how to connect your computer to the server that you have created. Okay, so now you can see over here your resource group, everything's there. Please copy your public IP address. So I've copied it. Now go to your computer and select RDP. Okay, so can anyone once just confirm, is this RDP visible remote desktop connection, this pop up?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. So now what will I do? I will paste. So you can see this public IP address that is here 20.20.25.33.214. I've copied it over here in my remote desktop connection and I select connect. So, okay, so now it will ask me for my credentials. Credentials, what I entered. So it was root, admin, and what was my password I had entered. Okay. So root, admin, and my password, these credentials will be used to connect and select OK. Okay, so this pop-up will come certificate errors and all, ignore it and say yes. So now currently my desktop is getting connected to my Windows server and can you see a Windows screen boot up with root admin?
Yes.
Yes, so now I've entered into
Yes.
my server. With this, I can install a website, I can deploy an application, I can use it in a container, and anything I can do once with this. So now I've successfully connected. Let it load. So I'll just minimize this screen. So as you can see, this wait, I'll enlarge it. Okay, so this is my entire Windows screen over here. So you can see this is a full-fledged Windows server. You can even install an Ubuntu or OS. You can install Windows 11, Windows 10, but they are more expensive. Ubuntu is cheaper. So you have got all of these services, your settings, everything is as it is, and it's very fast also, as you can see. So this is not my computer, but this is the server that I have created. Okay, so there are some settings you'll have to do later on, configuring this if you want to connect to the internet. So this is some basic things you will have to do later on, but I will not do it for now. So as you can see that it is a full-fledged working system. Okay. So now I am done with the RDP. I've connected it successfully. If I have a website, I can deploy it over here and I'm done and good to go for my server and application. So since I don't need it, I will be closing it. Okay, I've closed it. Okay, so now the important thing is when you're not using your instance, to stop it. Okay, I've stopped it. So stopping the virtual machine. Okay, so I've successfully created my virtual machine using the compute instance, and I connected it using the RDP remote desktop procedure call. And finally, I'm stopping it because I'm not using it. And after this, I will delete it because I am not going to use further. If you're going to use your application further, you can keep it or else you can delete it. So it is still getting stopped. Once it gets stopped, I will delete it. So as you can see, that was my virtual machine. And everything that I spoke and taught you all about, subscriptions are here, the resource groups you can create, your dashboard, then your Azure monitor to monitor how much you spend. So everything is there. Over here also you can see if you want to create a storage, so you can create your SQL thing over here. If you want to create a structured query using the structured query language, you can create your SQL database over here if you want. So this is just an example of what else you can do. I'm not creating one now, but you can create an SQL. And if you're creating a login system, a faculty feedback system, you want to store the data, you can store it over here. So now let me delete my virtual machine because there is a credit available to me, but I don't want to use it. So this is my virtual machine and now I'm going to delete it. So where is the option to delete? Yeah. Okay, so now I'm deleting it. Say yes for confirmation. Delete the resource. Yes, I don't want to use it now forever. I don't want it, so I'm deleting it. So it will get deleted. Okay, so while it's getting deleted, there are all more services available. So these are your general things. So once you create an account, it's confirmed that it has got deleted. So please, look into all of this. There are a lot of services and features. I myself haven't gone through all of them. So you've got your networking, the DNS allocation, domain name servers, firewall, storage, web app, database, analytics. So those into data science and artificial intelligence, you all can use these analytics. Here there is AI and ML. So as I said, computer vision. So with this computer vision, you can use computer vision. It's an API that you can use in your projects to detect an object, or speech voice synthesis in your projects you can use for identifying the voice, or for voice translation, face APIs, as you can see, face ID mapping. So translators, there are a lot of features that you can use in your projects or in your workplace as part of your projects and complete it.